right, so I want, so a couple of things. Do you guys have your phones or something where you can take a few notes?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Because what I hope to do is to share with you a couple of things that might be worth writing down, and that they might be helpful sometime in the future, if not in the near future, maybe down the road. Okay. The other thing is that I want to make sure that this is not a lecture. This is an interactive discussion. Feel free to interrupt me, ask questions, so that we can both exchange information. One of the reasons that I do this is because, I enjoy it, but I also learn as well. So I'm hoping to impart some knowledge, but I also gain knowledge from, staying in touch with young people. So let's make it kind of a back and forth. And then I want you to, I'm sure that you guys have had an opportunity to probably ask a number of things of Mr. Carmena, and he has a wealth of knowledge. But what I want to also do in kind of part 2 of our time together is, if there are some things that you really are curious about, that you really would like to know that you haven't asked Mr. Carmena or anybody else yet, I want to give you an opportunity to kind of put those things on the table, and maybe I can, shed some light on some things that might be kind of in the back of your mind. So if you don't have anything like that right now in the back of your mind, think about that as we talk. Okay? All right. So one of the first things I wanted to touch on, obviously you have college plans, you know exactly what you want to do, and that's awesome. I want to try to touch on a couple things that might be helpful. One of the things, actually I was talking to my wife about it either this morning or yesterday. I was talking about, how when I went to college, one of the things I saw before I got there was that a lot of people in my neighborhood, I grew up on the south side of Chicago, a lot of people in my neighborhood that, there was only a few of us that had a chance to go to college, okay? Once they got there, oftentimes there was something that diverted them off their path. And they could have been the smartest people, the most hardworking people, great students, but it seemed like something would always knock them off the path. So, for example, I had a friend, one of my best friends. He was, his mother was a teacher, and his father was an architect, and he was a good student. And after he went to his second year of college, his grandfather got him a job in a flour mill, okay? So in that flour mill, remember, we're broke college students, right? He was making a lot of money. And so that money got so tempting to him, he said, forget college. He said, I'm gonna stay here, I'm gonna make this money. And he's like, man, you should do this too. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna do that. So a couple months later, I see him, he's got a nice car, leather jackets, fancy clothes, and I'm wearing blue jeans and a t-shirt trying to struggle my way through DePaul University. And I said, wow, that really looks good. And he was all happy, he had money in his pocket, I didn't, and I said, and his mother, it broke her heart when he dropped out of school. And so later he came to regret that, because he saw that when he got older, he saw that he could have gotten a lot further in life had he got that college degree. So I said all that to kind of kick this off with, I want you guys, if you don't learn anything else from our conversation today, do not let anything or anyone deter you from the path that you're on. Because you're going to have some obstacles, okay? And you're going to have some stuff come up, because I did in my 4 years of school, okay? Most of us do, but it's a matter of, are you going to stay on the path? So know that there's going to be people, boyfriends, girlfriends, friends, family, money, parents, all kinds of things that could be potentials. So I'm letting you know, you're going to face this, okay? When you were in college, Dave, and you were in the Navy, did you not face things that
absolutely
tempted you to get off the path?
Absolutely. calculus, Calc 1, Calc 2,
Right. Oh,
Calc 3,
right.
differential equations.
How about trying to graduate from college, trying to figure out a way to graduate from college without taking any math classes? That's the program I was on. So I sat down with the counselor like, you're gonna have to take some math classes, okay? So I made it through. But make sure that you know there's going to be some obstacles. So I literally want, in the next couple of years, I want you guys to face a challenge and say, we were with Mr. Carmena. That guy said that we were going to have something. He said, don't let anything deter you. Okay? Now I want to get you guys' thoughts on potential obstacles over your college career or life in general. How do you handle those?
Oh, how do we handle basically the hardships and boundaries?
Mm-hmm. Or distractions?
I personally, if there is something that's in my way, usually if we're talking just simple getaways, I'd say music just helps me realign focus.
Mm-hmm.
If we're talking, if this blockage is like a lot, I just try to think of other ways to fix it. If not, I usually just think of it as a mistake and just try to learn from it.
Try to learn from it?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's usually it.
Okay. So that's great. So one of the things you do is you try to get away, mentally regroup, and use your music to kind of refocus. Did I hear that correctly? That's great. You know, I use that too. My wife will often tell me, she goes, oh, you got those things in your ears, because I'm listening to music, trying to do just what you said there, regroup, concentrate, and whatnot. Shakira, you?
I try to block the negative things out.
Good. That's good. We all have a lot of negative self-talk is a big thing for all human beings. That's a normal thing that human beings do. And so if you can find little techniques to keep you positive and help you minimize.
I write sometimes.
Okay, great. What kind of writing do you enjoy?
And talk about my feelings and how I feel in the moment.
Okay, do you do like diaries or journaling?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's great. That's good. Keep up with that. You know you could turn that into a blog or a book or something one day, and you can actually get paid for that. So that's a great start. So don't stop that. How long have you been doing it?
I've been doing it since my last baby.
Okay, awesome. So it's going to be very interesting. So you continue that through high school and you do that through college. Or once you graduate from college and look back over those last couple years, you're going to find that very interesting. And there'll be a lot of lessons in there that maybe you could share with some other young people, particularly young women that might have gone through the same thing you went through. Okay, and we're gonna talk about that a little later too. Okay, so anything else about these obstacles that we're sure to see?
I mean, actually, I have a question.
Please.
Does being nonchalant another way of avoiding or going through the obstacle? Being nonchalant with your attitude, because me personally, if I am stuck on something or something is causing me a lot of stress, naturally I'm a nonchalant person, but then I go into regress into even more nonchalant, if that makes sense. So I just give off the I don't care and it will go away type of thing. Of course, I'll still work towards fixing it.
Okay.
Would that count as?
So I think I follow you. So you're saying that you are nonchalant about the issue, but you do care and you are trying to fix it. So
I'd say more towards important things in general stuff, because the way I see it, if someone finds something really important, they'll do anything to reach whatever they need to.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the way I see it. And if it's just some random stress or something that I don't exactly care about, then I usually just put it off to the side or work on it while just not caring about it.
Okay. So you said keywords there. You continue to work on it. So you can be nonchalant in the sense of not letting it mentally kind of weigh you down, but don't push it to the side as though if you ignore it, it will either go away or solve itself.
Of course not.
Yeah.
I meant the mental part.
And and I think I follow you, and I think that's fine. That's fine, because what that does is it allows you not to go the other way, which is some people, like my sister, she's a worrier. She's the complete opposite. Instead of being nonchalant about something, she acts like this is going to be the end of the world if this doesn't go this way, okay? Or she's going to be so traumatized by something. So we want to be, in the middle is better, but again, if you're nonchalant so that it doesn't mentally stress you out, but you're still solving the problem, you're still acknowledging it, you're still addressing it, that's fine, because maybe that's more your style, okay? And we all have our own style of, and our personality types in terms of how we deal with things. So, does that answer your question?
Yes,
Okay, all right, great. So, again, on the path of particularly over the next 4 years, because these are going to be the most important. So you guys are coming into your senior year in August, right? Or
Yep.
August, September, okay. So your next 5 years are the most important years of your life, okay? And so don't let anything deter you from that, all right? So question, how did you guys become so thoughtful and so definitive about what your plans are for your college career? Shakira?
My thing is education is the key to any problem you get out when you're stuck here.
Okay. All right. That's true. So how did you choose the career that you wanted, the career path that you wanted to go down?
I chose this career path. Well, first I wanted to be a pediatric nurse, and then I changed it because something in my family happened with kids, and I was like, they didn't get the right help, so I want to be an investigator to help children get the right help.
That's great. There's a huge need for that. Okay.
Me personally, I don't know how it came to be. In 9th grade, I had no idea what I wanted to be, and naturally, seeing how I'm in ROTC, I was like, seeing how I don't know anything, might as well join the military after college. But then 10th grade hit, or no, I'd say start of 11th grade, and then just reading about the human body and medicine, that just excited me and wanted to learn more.
Very good.
And because of that, I started doing research on what I could, because I also love helping people. And I was like, hey, what a better thing than neurosurgery, because my huge interest in the brain is part of the human body, and I'm learning about medicine, all that excites me. So that's
Okay. All right, great. One of the things I forgot to mention when we were talking about, staying on track. You guys gave some great answers about how you cope with potential distractions or obstacles, and you spoke about how you personally deal with things. One of the things that I wanted to emphasize is you don't have to do it all by yourself, okay? So we all have some type of support systems or other people who can help us. So be aware of other people who can kind of help you get through, whether it be a friend, a parent, a sibling. Make sure that you go to people and not try to handle everything on your own, okay? And that brings me to the other topic we want to talk about, and that is kind of what you're doing in this program in a way, mentorship, okay? So Mr. Carmena is being a formal mentor to you both, to all three of the participants in the program, and I wanted to talk about how important that is. Now, do you have any other mentors by any chance? Okay, tell me about that and your relationship and how they may have helped you.
Well, I always got to see her every other Friday at school.
Okay.
And I still talk to her sometimes over the summer.
And who is she?
She's from the CDC. You know the CDC in Huntsville?
No, but I know they have a local office.
Yeah.
Okay. So you go there and you.
No, she come to the school.
Okay, so she comes to school as a part of her job.
Yes.
And so you meet with her every other week.
Yes.
That's great. That's great. Okay. So you're gaining some insight into the industry, and she can help you in a variety of ways, right?
Yes.
So what have you learned from this relationship?
She taught us how to the workforce. She taught us the workforce mindset, how to stay positive.
Okay.
Stuff like that.
Okay. All right. Jared, right?
Jaden.
Jaden. Okay. I'm gonna get it straight today. I'm usually good on names, not today.
You're okay. I don't have any mentors. That's none I can remember.
Okay.
Or Mr.
So we're going to talk about mentorship. Okay. So that is a huge thing.
Yeah.
So asked to do a monthly column in a magazine, Tampa Bay Business and Wealth magazine. And so my latest article that I wrote for them is going to be on mentorship. And so I'm going to give you guys a sneak peek of that and share with you. So, share with you some of the benefits, some of which you've already started to experience, and then tell you how you can leverage this moving ahead. So first of all, if you study successful people, most of them have certain characteristics in common. So for example, most successful people, they get up early in the morning. Dave, what time do you get up?
4:30.
4. I was gonna say 5. 4:30. Okay. That's why I'm not as successful. I don't get up at 4:30. I'm not a morning person. Okay. Most successful people read a lot of books, right? And most successful people have had a mentor. Okay. So all these people you see, I don't care who they are, you might think that they are just, Steve Jobs or whomever else that's living. He passed away, but he had a mentor. It's important that you have a mentor. Dave, how many mentors have you had?
Oh, quite a few over.
Quite a few.
Even now, I have a couple of coaches.
There you go. So you can see that that's something that's pretty consistent. So what you want to do is, you guys, you may have 1 or 2 homework assignments out of this conversation. So one of them is, we're going to think about who would be a good mentor for you. Okay, somebody that you can speak to at least once a month, once every 6 weeks or something like that, for an hour on a regular schedule, and somebody that you feel understands you, can help you in both your academic career and your professional career. Okay. Okay, so we're going to talk about what that relationship should look like. Okay, so a lot of people have folks that they can pick up the phone and call, or they might get together with them from time to time. But what I'm talking about is at the next level. Okay, talking about a formal relationship where you meet with them on a regular schedule. And so if you're not doing that with somebody, I want you guys' homework to be find somebody like that you can say, here's what I'm a part of this internship program, and the guy comes speak to us, and this is one of the things he advised us to do, and so I was wondering if you might be my mentor. And when they say yes, because I know they'll be happy to help you guys out, then you tell them, could we come up with a schedule where I could meet with you at least for an hour once a month, or once every 2 months, or something like that. I could ask you questions, and you could help me as I get ready for college and as I get ready to go into my career. Okay? These are very important relationships. They will help you for many years. So there was a gentleman that I met in 1994, maybe? 1994, when I was working at this one company. Guy came, he was the vice president of human resources, and he offered to help people. Anybody wants to talk about their career, swing by my office. So he said that in a room of about 300 people. So about the following week, I took him up on his offer. I came, my schedule accorded with his secretary, and I came, I sat down and talked to him. The first thing he told me? He said, about 300 people in that room when I made that statement, right? I said, yeah. He said, how many people do you think came to see me? He said, you're the only one. So that guy has been my mentor since 1994. So I talked to him as recently as 2 weeks ago. okay? And he continues to be a good advisor to me and whatnot. So it's not just for today, it's into the future because, we became personal friends and, I'm friends with his wife and he knows my wife and we go years back now. So these are important relationships. I learned a lot from him, so you can learn a lot from people for a long period of time. So this is not just something you're going to do for now. This can be something that will positively assist you for decades. I can't stress how important that is. So again, if you want to be amongst the successful people, you have to understand, well, what do they do to get there? What do the top surgeons do? What do the top people in social services do? They have somebody guiding them along their career that knows more than they do. Formal relationship, you want to have a regular schedule. Now here's another important thing that you guys need to make note of. When you sit down with them, you need to have a specific agenda and or some specific questions that you're going to cover with them. You're not going to just come and, like, maybe you might meet over lunch. You're not going to just eat, because then that's not a valuable use of their time, right? So you want to say, okay, today I want to cover these 3 things, okay? And then they may have some other things that they may want to share with you, but does that make sense? You have a purposeful meeting that's going to be a good use of their time and is going to help you learn. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions about any of that so far? The other part of that. So how many of your peers, roughly, how many of your peers know what they want to do right now?
Peers.
Yeah, your other high school friends, like what percentage of them? Like 90% of them, 10% of them? Like, I know I want to be this, and I want to go to this school, and this is what I'm going to do next, like you guys do.
I'd say 2%.
And it's a year for you?
Mm-hmm.
Not even 2%?
No.
Wow. Okay, that's scary. I figured it was probably less than 20%. But, so you guys get the picture. So here's how you can help them. So the beautiful thing about mentorship is it's a two-way street, right? So I'm asking you guys to go out and find somebody to be your mentor. Now, conversely, I want you to help somebody else. I want you to pay it forward. I want you to find somebody that you can work with because you're ahead of the curve as far as they are, okay, as far as they're concerned. So if it's just a friend of yours, maybe it's one of your boys or one of your girls, you can say, hey, have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? You can find somebody who you can help get to where you are because the majority of them are not there yet. Okay? You guys already know you're going to school. It is really, really important. You mentioned earlier that education is the key. So here's another question. So what percentage of black people in America, in general, what percentage of black people do you think have a college degree? Okay, 43%. Okay. What about you?
Like 40.
40%? Well, that would be nice. That's twice as many as they actually do. Only 20% of African Americans in the United States have a college degree. Okay? And of that 20%, 60% of degrees that help out women. So what does that tell you? That too. That too. We need to turn that around.
Yeah,
so the majority of the colleges are not, they do not have a lot of black males walking around. It's mostly women. And when you talk about master's degrees, it's probably 80%. It's closer to 80% of the master's degrees being achieved by African Americans, achieved by women. So I say that to let you know what a small fraternity you're in, that you're embarking on. And again, that's why it's important that you stick to it and make sure you graduate so that maybe we can get to 40%. That would be nice, okay? It's more like 40% for Caucasians. We have to change that. And you guys are our hope to change that, to make sure that you go to school and to make sure that your kids go to school, which is what we try to do, okay? To make sure that that next generation can raise the level of education and raise the level of wealth. Something that David talked about. He was a speaker at our event recently, the Breakfast with an Executive, and he talked about how African Americans, we trail way behind in terms of net worth compared to other members of society. And so one of the keys to gaining more net worth is having education where you get better jobs and have a higher earning potential. So that way you can buy real estate, you can invest in real estate, and do the other key things that will help you uplift your family. On that, so we're going to mentor somebody. We can help them get to the mindset and some planning for some career planning, and get to where you guys are.
I try to help people on the mindset part, specifically mentally, because they have different things they want to do. They're already talking to people, especially military people with the whole enlisting thing. But I try with the mindset thing with basically all of them, but you usually can't change. Usually you can't change someone that doesn't want to change. So
Yeah, that's true.
I try, but they don't like that.
So you can only help the ones that want to be helped. Yeah, because you're right. You can't change people, and you can only help those that want to be helped. So just try to identify those folks, and whether it be working with them on the mindset or anything else, you just try to do your part to give back and kind of pay it forward and help somebody else, because that's what's key to things. That's why you're in this program, right? This program exists to help somebody other than David Carmena, because he's doing fine, right? He's trying to help the next generation, trying to help somebody other than himself, and we need to all do more of that. Okay. All right. So, any questions about that, or other comments? All right. Very good. So, next I want to talk about kind of networking. So, as David mentioned, we belong to a business club. That's where we met. And one of the values of that club is networking. So I want you guys to understand some key tactics that will help you in your career, and your both academic and professional career, from networking. So tell me, what is your perception of networking and how one should go about that?
As possible. Because you make one connection, and that connection may know 50 others.
Exactly.
It should introduce you to those 50, and those 50 will know like 200 more.
Exactly.
Opportunities to better yourself.
Awesome. Right.
You never know who you're speaking to.
That's right. And you never know who they may know, right? Awesome. So you guys get it. So again, I want to give you some tactics on how to formally use that. So one way you can do that is by going to different events. So since you guys already know what industries you want to work in, one of the things that you can do is identify events and meetup groups. Are you guys familiar with meetup.com? Okay, here you go. So jot that down if you would, please. Meetup is spelled just like it sounds, MEETUP.com. Go in there, register on the site, and then what that does is it covers any interest or any type of group or occupation that you can think of. They exist on the internet somewhere in the world, and you can choose by city. You can meet all of the people who deal in child protective services industry in Tampa, or future neurosurgeons of America, Tampa chapter, just to give you an example. I don't know if that actually exists, but young people who are interested in science and that type of thing, you can find those kind of groups. So they have virtual meetings, they have in-person meetings, so you can go there and meet like-minded people for your industry, whatever it is. And then you can also do that for your hobbies too. Okay, so I found a sailing group, for example, on Meetup.com when I moved to Tampa, and we were able to go out sailing with them. So it can be both for personal or professional, but it allows you to expand your network. You may find an alumni association. You mentioned FAMU was one of the schools you were interested in, right, Jaden?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you can go and find out a FAMU alumni group. It's probably on Meetup. Okay, and some of those people who graduated, they might be able to help you. You can connect with them and say, hey, tell me about, what I should contemplate my first year at FAMU, or whatever questions you might want to ask them. Okay, does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
So going to events, connecting with groups, connecting with associations, okay? Find out if there's an association by just doing a basic Google search. And these associations have meetings. And also, many of them have student memberships where they encourage young people who want to go into a particular career to start to participate with their association. You can come to their meetings and things like that. You can become like a junior member, okay? So those are a couple of virtual and in-person ways that you can connect and build your network, okay? Also, now you mentioned USF, UCF in Orlando?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So you can connect with those folks as well, online, offline, alumni. It's a good school. Okay, they're all good schools. Again, just get your degree from one of them. Whichever one it is, just leave there with a piece of paper. That's the whole thing. Because we don't have, the white folks that I went to school with, you know why they went to college? So most of the people I went to school with, they only went to college for one reason. Because their parents told them they couldn't get the trust fund unless they had a degree. You follow me? Or they couldn't get a job in the company business without a degree. Now think about that versus our experience as black folks, right? So we'll come in and then you can get a seat on the board and do this with us. Okay? So I want you to know what...
Deon, I want you to talk a little bit more about that, because they don't know about privilege and what they're going to be maybe introduced to when they get to college.
Oh, that's a long discussion, and I'm happy to begin on
The brief
yeah.
PG version of it.
So so it kind of in the workforce scenario, they...
Or, meeting a peer that, once they graduate, they can be handing the golden keys.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So you guys know what white privilege is, right?
Yeah.
This is a popular thing. Basically, all they have to do is show up, and by the color of their skin, they're going to be afforded certain things, which is what Dave was talking about. They're going to be afforded opportunities you will never get considered for. And it doesn't matter if you're 3 times smarter than they are, okay? Because that's how, so the United States and most of the world is run that way. They run it, and so those are the rules, okay? So, for example, these white people that I refer to, when their kids graduate from college, they just pick up the phone and get them a job. Because they've already, again, they have a network, they have people that go in all these fancy schools, all these other white people have all the good jobs, they manage the other jobs, they're in control, they make the decisions, right? So they pick who they want, okay? So once I learned that's how the game is played, I wanted to put my kids in that position. So I could do something for them. So I could pick up the phone for them, okay? Because that's basically what David's talking about. That's what they're gonna do. When they graduate, they're not gonna go on 100 interviews. Somebody's gonna pick up the phone and say, my son's coming out, he got a degree in X, and you got a job over there for him, right? They're like, nope, we'll find one. And that's what they do, okay? You're not gonna get that. So the first thing you have to remember that old phrase is you have to be twice as good to be equal, okay? You guys heard that before, right? Yeah, that's a real thing. So if you're just as good as a white boy, you won't have a chance. Make sure that you're better than him so that you can have a chance, or better than her, okay? So getting back to the job situation. So when my son went to work in education, and I was living in Charlotte, North Carolina, he was living in Chicago, I wanted him to relocate to Charlotte where I was. So I did like the white boys do, because they taught me how the game is played, right? So I had a relationship with the president of the college. And I said, my son's music teacher. And he's gonna be looking for a job. He's got a lot of experience working in colleges. You could find a spot for him, right? Sure, Deon, no problem. Okay. So when my son got there and he did what he was supposed to do, and he was promoted, he was given more authority than a lot of his peers. He exceeded he exceeded their expectations. And the president told me, he said, Deon, as long as he's here, he never has to worry about a job. Okay? So that's what we're talking about. We have to understand the game, and then we have to come with the qualifications to do the job. And then we have to have somebody help put us in a position. So you guys have to do that for your friends, family, and your children when you have them, so that you will be in a position to pick up the phone like they do and get them a job. Again, now the same guy I did that with, he did the same thing. So when his son graduated from college, he called our friends at the Bank of America, picked up the phone, called one of his friends who was a senior vice president. Hey, my son is graduating in finance. No problem, Dr. Rice. I got you. His son went to the bank. He could stay at that bank as long as he wanted to. Okay? As long as he showed up for work every day and did what he was supposed to do, he had a job for life. Okay? That's how it works for them. Now, I'm not saying all of them are incompetent or don't deserve it, but I'm saying that they easily get their foot in the door. Okay? So, in 2003, when I went to work as a vice president for the phone company in North Carolina, I was the first black vice president in my division in the history of the company. Okay? In the history of the company. And when they hired me, all the other white vice presidents were pissed. Okay? And they made my life difficult because they were pissed about it. Because they didn't want me there. Okay? But I was fortunate enough that somebody gave me an opportunity. So that's what it's all about. It's all about the opportunity, because you can have the skills. Because there's a lot of smart people. So here's something that somebody told me when I was in college. See, Deon, there's a lot of smart people with master's degrees driving a cab. And I thought about that. I was like, I think I was a junior in college. I was like, why would somebody be driving a cab with a master's degree? That doesn't add up to me. They said, you'll see. They said, the world doesn't work as simply as we're taught, okay? There's people driving a cab with a master's degree. Why? Because they didn't get an opportunity to use that degree. So it's all about opening up doors for somebody else, pulling up the people behind you. Because these other people out here, they're not competing on that level. It's already laid out for them. All they have to do is check a box, like finish college, okay, boom. Your life is laid out. You're good. Because either the fact that you're white is going to get you what you're trying to achieve in life, or your parents are going to get you what you're trying to achieve in life, or the wealth that they may have passed down to you will get you what you're trying to achieve in life. And we don't have any of those things. So does that kind of help, Dave?
Yeah, because sometimes I want them to know that, just like you said, being equal is not good enough. You know, you got to be better. Just to have the same opportunity that they may walk into because of their parents and others. You know, so.
Yeah, and it's it affects your entire life. It affects your entire life, and know that all the decisions that you make can affect you for many, many years to come. So I want you guys to be thoughtful and careful about, particularly over the next 5 years, okay? Because some actions you can take can shut down some of those opportunities, okay? And it's hard enough out here. So you have to be really smart. You have to do the right thing. And we all make mistakes. You're gonna make a mistake, and that's okay. But it's how you regroup from it. And as was alluded to earlier, if you can learn from it, you're gonna do better the next time around. Is how can I learn from my mistakes? Because you're gonna make mistakes. I made mistakes and paid for them for years. And then you just have to move on. But the fewer you can make, the better position you're going to be in. Because see, here's another thing about the system. They want us to make a mistake so they can lock us up. That's what the whole system is built on. 1/3 of every black male in the United States is either incarcerated or in some way a part of the criminal justice system, whether they're on probation, parole, have a criminal record, ex-felon, or currently incarcerated. That's a lot of people. Those people, job opportunities are very limited. Okay?
And they want to get you into the system.
They want to get you into the system. No, go right ahead. No, feel free to jump in. It's a tough thing, but that's the way it's set up. So one of my best friends was a sergeant on the police force in Atlanta. And one of the things that upset her the most when she first became a police officer is to be inside the system and to see that firsthand. How, for example, people of color, their sentences are generally going to be like 25% higher than everybody else's for the exact same crime and with the exact same prior record. We're going to get more time, period. So when you see those kind of things, you got to make sure you stay away from them because it's designed to gobble you up, take your opportunity, keep you down, and that type of thing. Okay? Now, we want to be, we don't want to be the kind of person that blames everything on, quote unquote, the white man. Okay? Because we got to take responsibility for our own actions, but understand what's what and what's real. And this whole thing about white privilege, that is very, very real. That's very real. Okay? We do not get the same consideration. And you have to make sure that there's somebody, see, this kind of goes back to the mentoring. This is why you have to make sure that there's somebody that you know when you guys start working, somebody in that company you need to have a relationship with so they can look out for you, okay? Because that is key to your success. So when I was a salesperson and I wanted to become a manager, the only way that happened was I developed a reputation. Well, first of all, I made sure I was one of the top salespeople in the company. Okay, so they could not deny my performance. But remember, performance or a master's degree or any of that stuff, that doesn't guarantee you anything, right? But that's the first thing you have to do. That just lets me know we're halfway done. So it's time for me to turn it over to you guys. So again, remember the credentials don't guarantee you anything. So you have to perform. So I performed, but what happened was I had to have an advocate in the room for me. So let me tell you how that works, guys. So you all probably don't understand yet how people get promotions, do you? So this is how people get promotions.
No, they don't understand the real way
real
people.
the real thing. So people sit in a little conference room like this, and they talk about the job. And they say, okay, well, who you got? And there's rarely anybody bringing up a black person's name in that conversation. And until there's somebody in that room saying your name, that's going to make it very difficult for you to get ahead. So you must have advocates, both black and white, and any other color, on your side, or somebody that knows your performance and knows you, where they can speak up for you in that room. So when I wanted to go from being a corporate salesperson to a manager, and I had proven myself, a white man in that room knew that I had proven myself, and a black man in that room said, Deon deserves that next slot. And they said, no, well, we were thinking about this guy, this guy, and this guy. And he said, no. He said, no, I think it should be him. And he advocated for me, and I got the promotion. But had that black man not been in that room, that would not have happened. Okay, so that's how these things happen. They sit around, just like you see on TV when they're playing golf out on the golf course, that's how they change people's lives. And if there isn't somebody advocating for you in that same conversation, whether it's at the country club, the business club, on the golf course, then it's not gonna happen. So that's why you have to have mentors and people who know your performance, know your capability, advocating for you, because that's how it really happens. Now, normally they would look down the list and say, okay, well, we're going to give this to Deon because he's a top performer. But that's not how it works for us, okay? The white boys would put in their friend, okay, if it was up to them. But fortunately, it wasn't that time, okay? Any questions about that? Because that's how it really works. Okay? So, Lauren let me know you asked me some questions. We'll cover some things on your agenda, because this is your meeting that month. So, it's your turn. Fire away.
Kira, do you
Anything go.
have any questions, Kira? No? Okay, real quick.
Go ahead, baby.
Let me hold that so he can see that you're talking. Okay. You're asking the question.
Okay, so real quick, this is more of just a life experience type of question.
Sure.
So, as you know, we are going to be going to college in a year. Would you, of course, with that comes change. Would that be from just the surroundings changing, from you going from dependent to independent, or like how big or sudden is the change from high school to college?
It's pretty sudden. And you may, again, it kind of varies from person to person, but you may find it kind of shocking because you're going to go from, I'm at my parents' house, I have all these rules, regulations, and I have these routines, to the next morning you wake up in that dorm or once school starts, you are on your own. You can do whatever you want to do, anything, no matter how ratchet or improper it might be. You will actually have that choice. If you want to stay out all night, you will be able to do that. And when you realize that, you'll be like, whoa, I can actually
This is
do
good.
that. And you go, yeah. And so here's what you're going to see. Then you're going to see some students go absolutely out of their mind because they're going to go crazy with it. Okay? And they're going to test it as far as they can until that end of that first semester and they get all D's and an F. And they go, okay, I think I better rein it in. Okay, you don't want to be in that scenario because, again, time is short. So now they have to kind of catch up because they blew off a semester and you'll be ahead of the game because you did the right thing. So you have to be an adult. You have to work within boundaries. You have to, it's critical that you be careful about the people you associate with, because some people are only at school to get high and to party, and they really don't care about school. Okay, so you want to stay away from those people, identify them early, stay away from them. Number two, get yourself some routine, some boundaries, and it's okay to party on the weekends or, you know, stay out late sometimes, but make sure that your first priority is the books, okay? And that's the challenge that we have sometimes as people. We don't prioritize things the way we should. We try to kind of squeeze in the important stuff while we go do all the other crazy stuff that we want to do. That's not as effective as doing all the important things first, completing them, and then go party. Because I'm not telling you don't go party, because I had a blast when I was in college. Okay, I had fun. Okay, and I knew it was going to be challenging because I went to a Catholic university, and when I checked into my dorm, the first thing I saw was a priest sitting in the dorm room down the hall drinking beer with the students. And I said, wait a minute, what is he doing? I'm like, why is he doing that? Like, Can it be doing something more constructive with the students? That was one of the first things I saw, and I said, oh, okay, it's like that. Okay, so if they're doing that, then that tells you the students could do anything, right? So not that there's anything wrong with drinking, because I drank a little bit in college too, but I was like, that just, something was off with that picture for me. So again, let's prioritize. Get the work done first, have a schedule, okay? And then don't let members of the opposite sex, and let's see, let me be politically correct, whatever your preference is, whoever that is, whether it's the same sex or opposite sex, do not let them interfere with your studies, okay? I don't care who it is. Don't let it interfere with your studies. You should have fun. Again, you should have great friendships with folks in school. They're going to be some of your lifelong friends, but don't let the relationships interfere with your studies. So those are some of the challenges that you're going to have. So again, you're going to be in an environment with no rules. Because remember, how your teachers might fuss at you a little bit now, your college professors, they don't care what you do. You come there, you don't do any of the work, they don't care, they're just going to give you an F. And then you're going to try to figure it out after that. So nobody's going to ride you, nobody's going to fuss at you, nobody's going to tell you what you should be doing. You have to figure that all out for yourself. And some people are much better at it than others. And other people, they don't need to be in an environment where there's no rules. Okay? Well, I won't say there's no rules, but I'm saying where you have like total freedom. So, because some people are not yet ready to act like an adult and conduct themselves as an adult because they're only 17, 18 years old. So, does that answer your question?
Yeah, definitely.
You know what to be ready for, okay? Okay, and the thing I had again, I was at a Catholic university, okay? So, again, not to stereotype, but a lot of Catholic girls, their whole lives, they've been on lockdown, right?
Oh.
So when they got to a dormitory that was co-ed and they were living in a building with boys, they lost their minds. Okay? Some did. And some did not. Okay? So again, that's just because the living environment is so very opposite of the environment that was at home. Some people, they go a little crazy. Okay? So it's all about, just remember, everything in moderation and prioritize what you're there for. You are there to get an education, and you are there to get out in 4 years. I know that's kind of that's not done too often these days, but try to get out in 4 years. The average person now, it takes them over 5 years to get an undergraduate degree. It shouldn't. That's because they're playing around too much. Okay? So be about the business and be about your studies and then have fun. Okay? Chris Shapiro? Question?
I don't have a question. I have a statement. Well, this year I got a taste of college a little bit because, well, we didn't get to go on campus because of COVID, but we did it at school. I started a little bit of a college class, but this year we'll be able to go on campus and start a real class.
Good. That's a good experience. I wish I had a chance to do that, while I was in high school, because that's very informative. You kind of know what you're going to be dealing with before you get there. You can kind of prepare for it. You know what's what, and that type of thing. You can talk to other college students, and they can give you some insights into things. Okay, but those are the main things. Just having boundaries for yourself, create a system for yourself, have a schedule. Okay, because if you don't have a schedule, Like some students, they'll go to school, they'll make sure that all their classes are in the afternoon so they can get up every day at 11, stuff like that, And as long as you cover your course load and at your classes, I guess that's okay. But again, you have that freedom. But there's going to be some class you need to take that's not offered in the afternoon. It may be at 8 o'clock in the morning. So that means that you can't be in your friends' dorms hanging out until 3 o'clock in the morning if you got to be in class at 8. Right? Because, again, nobody's going to tell you, hey, Jaden, you need to go back to your room and go to sleep. It's going to be on you. Yeah, that's going to be on you. So it's all about, like I said, being an adult. You gotta, when that time comes, you gotta be ready to be an adult. So, because having all that freedom, it comes with a price if you abuse it. Okay? If you, like I said, you look up and the semester's gone and you flunk the midterm and now it's coming finals and you're not ready, you know what your grade is gonna be in that class, right?
Yeah.
It is not gonna be good. There's nothing you can do to get that time back. So you just wanna not do things that put you in those types of
But add on to that, Deon, you know, what happens when you fail the class and you lose your scholarship, and it's a domino effect.
Yes.
And it all leads to that bad choice that you made by staying up with your friend at 3
Right.
o'clock in the morning.
Right.
If you can speak to that.
Yeah, so you could do one thing, and then, like he says, it could be a snowball effect where it turns into a huge problem. Okay? So, for example, if you have a scholarship, as you guys know, you know that some scholarships require a minimum GPA, right? You guys know that, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so not all scholarships, but some. So if you're in a situation where you make some bad decisions and you drop below your GPA that's required for that scholarship, then your money's gone. Then you get back to what I was warning you about earlier. They may bounce you back home because you don't have any money. If you don't have the money to make up for that scholarship money, then from one bad decision, you wind up back at home the next semester. You don't want to do that, okay? If that one bad night after some fun out on the town, okay, could lead to an unplanned pregnancy, whether you're male or female, and then that's going to mess up your game plan here, okay? Because your game plan was to take care of your education and not to be taking care of that child. Okay, so that's another thing. I had friends that had to drop out of college because they had unplanned pregnancies too. That's another common reason. Money's a common reason. Bad grades, unplanned pregnancies, family problems and things. You have all kinds of issues. So just be aware of all of that, because again, when you get to school, there's going to be a lot of people having lots of sex. Okay, you guys are old enough for me to use the S word. Okay, so you need to be an adult about it. Okay. And maybe that's something that I'll let Mrs. Bradley comment on, because he
About what?
speak to it better than I can.
About what?
About sexual relationships for young people.
Well, the only thing that I could say, just don't do it. I mean, you know, it's not like you have to. You think you have to, because your hormones are raging and whatever, you know, but if you decide to take that route, please protect yourself. That's the main thing. Either you protect yourself or just don't do it. That's the bottom line, you know.
And
Because- go on.
No, Deon said is right. That's guys and girls.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about that at lunch the other day, Jaden, when we had lunch there. How, I remember I told you my engineering friend, she had a baby, and she was one of the few that actually completed engineering, which is awesome because it's hard enough with no kids. I mean, I barely made it through with a decent grade without kids, and she had one with it. But also from the male side, I neglected, and I'm glad you brought it up, Deon, is that we can get derailed by having an unplanned pregnancy, especially when you want to take ownership of the child. And so it works both ways.
Yeah.
And when you were saying earlier today about distractors, that is a distractor. I mean, it's a huge one. It's a total life change.
Total life change.
And so, you know, I'm not sure if we can have don't do it, but definitely, you know, protect yourself and don't, you know, even if you are doing it safely, just a sheer volume sometime when you're let loose from your parents and you don't do all the things that you want to do because you may have a chance, you know, I remember sitting when I was going through college, I would sit in my, I lived off base, and my room, my breakfast area, the window overlooked the pool. And I'm studying all 12 hours a day trying to, you know, make a decent grade, and my contemporaries is in the pool all day, you know? And I'm like, why don't I just do this, you know, why am I struggling? But the only way to get through it is to do stuff like that, you know?
So again, he disciplined himself. He could have went and gotten the pool too. You know, I tell you have to act like an adult. So instead of there was nobody to stop him from going to the pool, right? So instead of getting in the pool, he continued to do his studies. So where I went to college was a short train ride from Rush Street in Chicago. So Rush Street in Chicago is like Ybor City, right? That's the nightclub area. So if you can imagine going to college by Ybor City, what do you think the students did half the time? They spent half the time down there. So what I tried to do is I did my studies, and then I waited to go to Rush Street on the weekends, okay? They might be down there 3 days a week. But I waited till the weekend because I tried to get the study out of the way first. But getting back to, again, how this making mistakes affects both males and females. Again, I saw friends who had an unplanned pregnancy as a male and wanted, because of the way they were raised, they said, hey, I need to do the right thing. So they dropped out of school, got a job, tried to take care of their child because they knew that was the right thing to do. Well, that person never finished. Most of them never went back to school. So here's another thing. You're going to hear people say, well, I'm going to take a semester off, whatever, and I'm going to come back. Okay? Have you guys heard people say that? Mm-hmm. Okay, don't ever buy that. Okay, because 80% of the time, it does not happen. And I'm not saying that they lied to you or they never intended to go back. I'm telling you that the things that happen in life preclude them from their very sincere desire to go back to school.
I see that now.
You see that, right? Yeah. So do not buy into, for yourself or anybody else, that, well, I'm just going to take this semester off. Oh, well, I'm going to do this. No, because that thing that you're talking about, it's not more important than you getting your degree. So stay on that trail, because 80% of the time, they never come back. Even if they want to, it just doesn't happen. So that's a fallacy that I want you guys to know. That is a fallacy that I'm gonna come back. It doesn't happen. So whenever you hear that, okay, or if ever you get a thought in your head that, well, you know what, I'm gonna take off and then I'm gonna come back and finish, I want you to remember my voice and say, 80% of the time, it does not happen. I didn't get all this gray hair because we haven't lived and seen a few things, okay?
Everybody